just a minute, doing a presentation on their data capture system. We have been working in data capture for many years, and PSIGEN has proven to be a really great platform if you're receiving a lot of information on paper or fax or file types that you need to get into your systems of record. Today we're going to concentrate on PSIGEN's interface with SharePoint. Many of you have SharePoint in your organization, and you want to put documents that you're receiving via email or paper or fax into the system and actually be able to find them. You need a flexible OCR tool to do that, and PSIGEN has that. It's really the best SharePoint integration of all OCR products that we've seen, and that is in part because Microsoft uses it to help them move information into their SharePoint implementations. A lot of organizations have mixed mobile workers, people that are at their desktops, etc. And PSIGEN and PSIFusion is a unique solution that allows users to easily interface, scan, and get that information into SharePoint. So as I said, we have Keith Snyder online. Keith, say hello.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Keith, as you can see here on the screen, is the National Sales Manager for PSIGEN Software. He has over 20 years experience in the industry, and he's he's a great help to us in application development. He's been document management software, document management reseller, and been with PSIGEN for how long now, Keith?
Just over 5 years.
So we're looking forward to hearing what you have to say and sharing what we already know with our clients and prospects. So Keith, if you could take it from here, I'd appreciate it.
My pleasure. So thanks for that introduction, and thank you everyone for your time today. So we're going to go over a handful of topics today. I promise this will not be death by PowerPoint, but we're going to talk about advanced capture, which includes scanning documents in, auto-indexing them, and then publishing that information into whatever system you'd like. A lot of times in today's world, that includes SharePoint. For PSIGEN is concerned, we can publish information to SharePoint 2007, 2010, 2013, and Office 365. So if you're going to push it all the way into the cloud, that's fine too. We have a remote quality assurance and indexing tool called PSIFusion. We're going to look at that today. And we're going to, as I said, go through just a little bit of PowerPoint just to position us in the market so you have an understanding of what we do. So let's go ahead and move forward. I did mention, or Jim did mention, that I'm Keith Snyder with PSIGEN Software, so we can skip that slide very easily. What we aim to do is help improve document management. Now, a lot of folks have document management in the market. In fact, I would argue that everyone has it, because even if you use filing cabinets and outsourced storage, it is document management. It's very analog document management. What we're talking about doing is taking you to efficient electronic document management so you can scan your documents in, archive them, and so on. The way we're going to boost efficiency is to give you a very simplified approach to capture, automate that index, and as I mentioned earlier, publish nearly everywhere. So a little bit about us. Our company's been around for about 20 years. We work with all different types of hardware and software, whether it's a direct connect scanner, a network scanner, a copier, a fax server. We're good with all of those. We work with just about every doc management system known to man. I've been selling this software for about 10 years. I've been an employee for over 5, and I have never found a system we couldn't publish data into. That's a very bold statement. So when you start talking about document management, you're going to hear from a lot of experts in the industry talk about how you're going to have instant access to your records, and it's all automated. You'll have better customer service. You'll never lose another document again. Those are all the values and virtues to electronic document management capture. And they're all valid statements. They're all very true. My favorite reason for going with document management is you end up with room for the air hockey table. Now, some folks like foosball. They just are wrong. Air hockey is better. Now that I've said that in a recording, I'm sure I'm getting lots of conversation started around that one. Now, the problem with electronic document management systems, or moving into this new system, is that it all starts with a piece of paper. Everyone gets excited. Oh, this is going to be great. We're going to be able to do more with less, and we're going to be able to have better customer service, and we're going to be able to, this is going to be wonderful. And then they realize someone has to scan in the paper. And a lot of times, it starts in a room that looks like this one. And that's when all the fun gets sucked out of the room, because then they realize that it's them that has to scan it in and manually index it. Well, the manual indexing is what takes a lot of time. That's where you are spending many, many minutes per document just filing it away. And this statistic, these statistics on the screen, we're not even talking about finding a file. This is all just talking about publishing the file, putting it in the system. That takes a lot of time. So, some folks will come to us and say, well, that's nice that, it needs to be indexed, but what if we just scan it in, and then we're going to OCR it, that is optical character recognition. We're just going to magically scan it in and OCR it, make it intelligent, and we'll be able to search the content. That'll be good enough. That's not really the path to success. That's really the path to failure, because you end up with that old dreaded rule that is basically garbage in, garbage out. Not good. So the OCR engines generally, do they get everything 100% right 100% of the time? No, that doesn't exist. I haven't found that system either. Not that the 100% right 100% of the time, no. But we can help you with auto-indexing and greatly reduce the amount of time to get information in. So there's got to be a better way, or we wouldn't be talking about this presentation today. What we do really is advanced capture that is not just scanning. There's a big difference there. So advanced capture really is making, pulling intelligent information out of those images. Scanning is basically just scanning. It's taking a picture of a piece of paper. It's nothing special. Heck, my iPhone will do that. Advanced capture allows you to look for patterns of text that can be recognized, such as invoice number or invoice date or total amount or social security number, something in there to pull out information that you want to find the files later. That's advanced capture. So what we do today is we start on the left-hand side of the screen, where we will bring the image in using some sort of an imaging device. I mentioned earlier a direct connect scanner, maybe a network scanner, a fax server, a copier. All of those are good. We're going to run it through the magic engine there in the middle. That's the PSI capture engine. And then we're going to publish that information somewhere into your system, whether it's SharePoint or M-Files, which is a document management system, or an accounting software like Great Plains, Microsoft Dynamics GP, or QuickBooks, or whatever you want. So we do that by looking for values that we can anchor on, and then finding the values, then the other values around it. Let me show you what that looks like. So in this example, we'll anchor on the word invoice number, and then we're going to look to the right. And if we don't find the invoice number, then we're going to look beneath that and find it at that point. Now that document has the invoice number, and we can basically name the document something relevant. If we're talking SharePoint, we can also populate the metadata, the term sets, the index values, the columns, and so on. Very, very robust way to find your information later. Now, the next step of the workflow is to publish that information out. So that might be publishing it right to, like I said, a CRM or an ERP system, or M-Files, the document management system I mentioned earlier. But we can also go nearly anywhere else. So if you want us to go into the SharePoint environment, we can do that. We can certainly go really just about any system you can think of. If it is a direct doc management system, like I said earlier, SharePoint and so on, that's fine. If we're going to go into an accounting software that might be QuickBooks, for example, then that's probably a load file, an XML load file. If it's Microsoft Dynamics or SAP or PeopleSoft, that's going to go down the path of a direct database write with stored procedures. Very straightforward approach there. So I want to talk about a few of our clients, folks you may have heard of before, that use our software today. So in the manufacturing business, Jim mentioned earlier, Microsoft uses our software. They use our software for dealing with immigration documents for legal compliance around HR documents. Or it could be working with the Coleman Corporation where they process their invoices. Or it could be Park Place or a mattress manufacturer out of the South, and it's for delivery documents, proof of delivery. So it's lots of different types of businesses and lots of different sizes using it in different applications. You also have education, whether it's K through 12, and they're using our software for test grading, continuing education, as well as other things like HR and accounts payable, or it could be higher ed as well, doing with student records or facility management. We have a lot of folks using this in the government world, whether it's the Department of State making non-intelligent PDF files intelligent, putting them in SharePoint. It could be the state of Louisiana dealing with thousands of users and tens of thousands of images every single day. It can be even a police department just taking pictures of graffiti and then geotagging those pictures with their devices, whether it's a smartphone or a robust camera, and then we could push that information into SharePoint and then even into a mapping software. Healthcare uses our software for medical billing, medical records, even pharmaceutical companies for lab results and so on. And then this is the everybody else category, whether it's a sports franchise or a restaurant chain. Everyone has paper. Everyone wants to try to be efficient, and a real way to increase efficiency and decrease cost of business is to reduce the amount of times you touch paper and really streamline that organization. So now we're going to get out of the PowerPoint. We're going to move right into an example of what SciCapture can look like, as well as SciFusion, and we'll show you the end result of what it looks like in SharePoint. So this is SciCapture. Now, a lot of the steps I'm going to show you can be automated, but I want to show you what those steps look like. We're first going to start off with scanning some documents in. So imagine, if you would, you had a scanner on your desktop, and you loaded the samples in, and you push the green button up here that says Start Capture. Now the scanner is running, and the documents are coming into our system. If you don't want to use a direct connect scanner, you can use a network scanner, and we would monitor the folder and auto-import those documents. In this example, we brought in 11 pages, but it should be 10 different invoices. So we're going to stitch those together where necessary. We brought in all the images as singles, and then if it's a multi-page file, we put them back together. Now, one of these documents is going to fail the process here. We're going to show you what real-world example looks like when it has an exception. So right now, we're making all the documents intelligent using optical character recognition, or OCR. Then we'll move into running a complex rule set against those images that have been made intelligent. And you can see that we determined that this document really is U.S. Air Conditioning, or perhaps Grainger, or perhaps Aircold as another vendor. But the one, number 4 here, has this caution symbol. There's something wrong here. So when we click on number 4, it did not determine the record type, or the vendor name in this case, because it did not know the vendor. We've never seen this document before. Well, in today's world, what we're going to do is we're just going to tell our software that, you know what, that one needs classification. We're going to get back to that one later. Go ahead and do the rest, and then we'll deal with this number 4 manually here in just a moment. So what you're seeing on the screen now is the software is going to run through the next few steps where it's going to do auto-indexing. When it's auto-indexing, that can be happening on the server. You don't have to sit here and watch the green bar move across the screen, which I like saying, watch the grass grow. Once that step is done, which is almost done, it will then present us with an exception. That exception is going to be the one we told it we are going to deal with later, that TFS, or total filtration. We'll get to that one here in just a moment. Okay, now we're at the point where it says, okay, I need help. All of these 10 invoices, 9 of the 10 are done. This number 4 here, it was not able to determine invoice number. So we're going to zoom with, so it's a little easier to see. This would be presented to a user and says, hey, I don't know where invoice number is. All they've got to do is come here and say, point and click. We now have invoice number. And now we'll do invoice date, point and click again. Got it. Invoice total, well, that's down at the bottom of the screen. So we'll scroll down there, point, click, got it again. And then the only thing we didn't capture at this point is the vendor name. So let's go back up to the top. And we'll grab total filtration services. Done. You can see I even moved my mouse across those backwards, but now we have it in right reading, total filtration services. So we did 10 invoices. We really only had to interact with one of them, and it was because it was a brand new invoice, and one we've never seen before. And now all the values are here. So in this step, this is the quality assurance step. So maybe when I'm done doing the indexing, my manager, say that's someone named Sarah, Sarah's going to double check the work to make sure that I have it correctly. I correctly index the information. And so she can look at the image on the right, validate the data on the left. If something's not correct, she can modify it. This data is live. If we have another data source, say your accounting software has a purchase orders within the software, and we know that the PO number for labor ready should be $452.40, and that's this last value here at the bottom. If we knew those matched, that image wouldn't stop here for quality assurance. It would just go on its way. If it didn't match, then maybe Sarah sees that, and she can help correct the issue. When she's done, she's going to push the Done button here, close the batch, and that's it. Now, what happened to that file? It went into SharePoint. So here is SharePoint 2010. Now, this is running on a virtual machine on my laptop, so you might see some performance issues. But if we go to the Accounts Payable library here, it takes a moment to render that first time of the day, then we'll pick a folder based on the year. You do not have to use folders within SharePoint if you don't want to. Some people like them, some people don't. We give you both options. So in this example, we created a subfolder for the year, then another subfolder for the vendor name. So here's that TFS, or Total Filtration Services. And underneath there, you see 2 different examples of the same invoice. We did this on purpose so you can see the flexibility of naming your files in particular ways. Some systems out there will not name the file. They just dump it into SharePoint and then let you use the columns to find your information. Well, that certainly works. There's nothing wrong with that. But if I wanted to email this vendor, or this invoice from this vendor out to someone, and I'm going to take it out of SharePoint now, if it doesn't have a relevant name, it's hard for that recipient to know what they just got. So we like to give that file name a relevant meaning. So in this first one at the top, it is the date of the invoice, so year, month, day, dash invoice number. That's fine. The other one is a static name of invoice from, dynamic value of vendor, and then dynamic value of the invoice number. It's the same file. I just put it in there twice, named differently. So you have that flexibility. You have the flexibility in how you want the dates to look. I happen to like year.month.day. That's how I find things. Other folks don't. They want month/day/year. It's really your preference. Simple as that. Now, there are folks out there that don't want to use this for invoice processing. Maybe they want to use it for HR, legal compliance, and so on. Our system isn't built for just invoices. I showed you invoice processing because everyone understands invoices. We all get them. At least at home, we get invoices. But in this example, we could also have done legal documents or contracts or whatever you can think of. Now, we also have the ability to allow folks, remote users, to access the indexing and quality assurance stages within our software. This is a separate product called PSIGEN. What this allows us to do is using any browser, any desktop browser you'd like. So Internet Explorer is what I'm using now. It could be Chrome, Safari, Firefox, really doesn't matter. We can access our queue. We can zoom into the document, pan around, and manually index the documents. So we'll pick today's date. Let's go ahead and put on today's date. What is today? Today is April, isn't it? April 24th. There we go. And we'll select the document type from a drop-down list. This could be a list within SharePoint, by the way. It's either a static list built into Fusion, a list in SQL, Oracle, DB2, a SharePoint list, a SharePoint term set, and so on. So we'll say that this one is a process server document. That happens to be what it is. We're going to now type in the matter number. The matter number is right here. It says right here, our file number, comma, 8 digits. Let's go ahead and type in those 8 digits right now. And when I tab off of there, it will do a database lookup for me. Sorry about that. It'll do a database lookup for me and then bring back the value. And it wants to be a server operating system that I'm running on a laptop. I apologize for the error we just received. But if we go look in SharePoint right now, I go to Legal Process Server 2010. That was the date of those documents. Here's all those process servers that we have. And here's that 2900 5320. So there's our image that we just scanned in, all indexed, ready to go right in SharePoint, no problem. Okay, I'll show you one more example of what this might look like using different types of documents. Jim mentioned earlier that Microsoft uses our software. They actually use it for legal compliancy in the HR world for immigration documents. Let's go ahead and simulate that scan. Now we have our 17 pages. We're going to go ahead and let our software classify those pages, and it will auto-index that for us. By the way, we're getting a handful of questions coming through. Let me just share those questions with you. I'll answer a few of them now. Someone just asked, hey, will Fusion work on a Mac? It will. It runs on, the way Fusion works is it's a server client application. The server is going to run on a Windows server operating system, and then the browsers that can use that from a user perspective would include Safari, which is on the Mac. That answers your question. Chrome, which is the Google Chrome, and then Internet Explorer from Microsoft. No problem. Next question is, which version of SharePoint will this work with? So it's compatible with all the supported versions of SharePoint from Microsoft. Those include 2010, 2007, 2013, and Office 365. We do not install anything on the SharePoint server. We just need credentials to publish information into SharePoint, and we're set. We now see the finished results of those scanning in those 17 pages produced 16 different documents here. So one of them must be 2 pages long, and it allows us to see all the index values here on the left. So you can see the second document. It is a denial notice. We captured the document type. These names are fictitious. We changed the names to protect the innocent. So I don't think Steve Jobs got a denial notice from Microsoft. But we can see that the document type, the person's name, the applicant or A number, as well as the date of the application. All of that came from image, no database lookups. You see a couple of these have blank values. Well, if we look at Steve Jobs' document here on the right, you've got the Steve Jobs name here, and then his applicant number, this A, followed by a series of numbers. Well, if we go to the Hillary Clinton document, you can see her name is here, no problem, but there is no applicant number. So that's why it's not there. If it's not on the image and we can't pull it from a database lookup, obviously we're not going to be able to find it there. It's very, very straightforward. Next question we just got is, how is the software licensed? Great question. Thanks for asking. So we license our software by the number of concurrent users, if we're talking capture, the number of concurrent users, and the number of images per year. So it is licensed by volume. The reason we do that is it helps organizations that are smaller or departments that are smaller, even though in a large organization, by only paying for what they need. So for example, if you wanted to scan in, say, 3,000 or 4,000 images per month, which doesn't sound like a lot, that's only a couple of banker boxes worth of paper, but you wanted all the same functionality that I just showed you here with these immigration documents, you can do that. Now Microsoft is scanning in a lot more than 3,000 or 4,000 images a month. They're scanning in, over the last year and a half, probably 10 or 12 million pages. So there's a very large project. If you don't have the same volume, you can get the same software with the same features and the same performance, but less capacity every year, and you end up paying a lot less. So while I can't quote prices today because every project's a little different, if you're only scanning, say, 10 or 40 or 50,000 images a month or 120,000 images a year, even 1 million images a year, you would pay a lot less than someone who is scanning in 1 million images a month. We've got several clients that scan well over 1 million images a month. So it's built to scale very, very high. It can start very, very low, and there's pricing flexibility all the way through. Okay. There's one more question here. Let me just read it very quickly. It's a question about reporting. Can any reporting be performed from what was scanned and so on? Absolutely. You can scan in. We'll report on who scanned, which pages, under which configuration. We'll even report back if the scanners have a double feed. That way, if you start to see a lot of double feeds on a particular device, you know that that one's probably going to need a new rollers pretty soon. Now, as far as indexing on which vendor, dollar amount, invoice number, that typically happens in the document management system, not the capture engine. But all of this information is held in Microsoft SQL. That's the engine underneath this. So it's very, very straightforward. Next question. I mentioned complex rule set. And the question is, and that's for auto-indexing, the question is, well, do those already exist, or do I have to write them from scratch? I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but I hope our guests here don't mind. So let's go ahead and show you what it might look like to set up a brand new rule. So the short answer is a lot of those don't exist out of the box. We do have some standards that exist. Let me type in my password here. There we go. And now we're going to go create a new rule set. So I'm just going to go all the way out to step 9 where classification happens. And do you remember that we had some invoices we didn't recognize? Let's add a brand new vendor in here, one we've never seen. I actually have it on my desktop, so I remember to have this. Now, you did not see Empire Gas and Electric in the original demonstration, so software has never seen this one. We're going to come in here, we're going to add a rule so we know, how do we know this is how do we know this is Empire Gas and Electric? So first thing we're going to do is OCR this image and make it searchable. Now we need to find something unique for Empire. Now, we can't recognize this logo of Empire because that's not text, that's a logo. And we don't want to use the word invoice because that's not unique. Every invoice says the word invoice on it. But the fax number that they have out there in Colorado, for Denver out there at Empire Gas and Electric, they're the only people in the world with that fax number. So let's go ahead and use that. We're going to do a point and click with my left mouse button. There you go. We just built this new rule set that says, okay, if we find a fax number that says 303, that might be 303 or 303, so it's going to be flexible. If there's an OCR error with the 0 making it an O, we still have it. Followed by a slash or a dash, 623, followed by a 5, which could be an S, then another 5, which could be an S, 26. So that is that phone number. If we find that fax number or phone number, we know that is Empire Gas and Electric. That's how we're going to build a rule set there. Very, very straightforward. If you wanted to say, well, sometimes this is a single-page file, sometimes this is a multi-page file, and we don't know. We don't, there's no, it's a very flexible number of pages, then we can tell our software, okay, no problem. How do I know when it's the last page? Well, if it says subtotal right here in the bottom left-hand corner, we'll just use that as an example. If it says subtotal, or I could have used the pay this amount here if you want, then we know, okay, that's the last page. Simple as that. So now that we've created a first page and a last page, we can come in here and say, this is Empire. Got to give it a name. Okay, all set. We're going to give it a record type of Empire as well. Done. Save this out. That's it. So by having the ability to point and click and build our complex rule set, it does not take days to roll this out. You can go, if you wanted to start as early as next week, and I want to start scanning, it takes a few days to get this up and spinning, but that's it. And that depends on the number of different forms you have, the number of different vendors you have, and so on. But you just watched me define the classification rules for a brand new vendor that we've never seen before in a matter of about 3 minutes. Now, we didn't define invoice number and invoice date and total amount, but it is as simple as what I just did there. Point and click to build those rules. So it does not take a very long time to roll this out. Days, not weeks. I'm reading one more question here. Hold on one second. So when we have the question here is let me just read the question for everyone. The example from earlier where the brand new vendor invoice was classified, when you picked out the invoice number, does it capture the selections to identify it for the next time? Good question. So in today's version of our software, you have to go through and point and click that every single time. With a new version of our software coming out here very, very soon, we're going to have the ability to define on the fly the different areas that new vendor, so that you would define it one time in the middle of a batch, and then the next time that invoice comes through, it would recognize who is that vendor. Now, I want to share with you, I mentioned that's a future release. Very, very soon. That release will be out in the next few weeks. But one thing to remember, PSIGEN, in fact, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, PSIGEN has been around for about 20 years. I mentioned that. What I didn't share with you is we come out with new versions of our software and new softwares all the time. Right now we're in PSICapture 5.3 is the version of our software, and it has tens of thousands of features in our software. So when someone comes to us and says, we have this business problem, we need help, and we realize we could help that person out and maybe that should be a new feature of our software, then that ends up on our product roadmap We have very fast, agile developers, and they will go through and add new features in all the time. So once we have a client, typically they keep our software assurance or our maintenance active for a very long time because we're always adding new features into our new product set. That happens all the time. There's a new release at least every quarter with our software, and those typically have new features in them. So that's coming. It'll be out very, very soon, and when that's out, we'll make sure that is known for everyone. Okay, we are getting out to the end of our time. We try to be very sensitive to everyone's time. We've gone 30 minutes now. We've answered lots and lots of questions. I want to share with you next steps. If you like what you've seen, and I hope that you did, and you want to know more, we're here to help you with that. We can certainly spend a lot more time talking about your specific requirements and help you get through exactly what you're looking for. The best way to get in touch with us is through our friends at Syscom. You need to reach out to them via phone, email, any way you want to reach them, and schedule appointments with them and continue this conversation. The next step is to talk about your environment. What kind of documents are you talking about capturing? How do you want to find those later? What kind of volume are you looking at? How many users? Those are some of the basic questions that we're going to ask to start really trying to figure out how we can help you. As I mentioned earlier, you can start with something very, very small, whether it's just a few thousand images a month. We've got some folks that are scanning 50, 60,000 images a day. It's very, very large volume, and everything in between. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and we hope to hear from you all very, very soon. Thank you for your time.
Thanks a lot, Keith. For people on the line, this has been recorded, and we will send out an email to you with a link to that recording so that you can share it with your colleagues. Again, thanks a lot, Keith. That was very good, and thanks for everybody that is online. Take care now. Bye.
Thank you.